Leadership and Social Responsibility, chapter number 5, Understanding Other. This one is very important chapter and comes after the topic Understanding Self. Here is a course content: individuality and commonality, understanding gender diversity, understanding culture diversity, understanding international diversity, your culture heritage, and building multicultural appreciation. In first content, individuality and commonality, we try to make draw line between individual and the community, where we become egoistic and where we become altruistic, care for oneself and care for others. How we can divide line between them, understanding gender diversity. Diversity means diversify two things: differences found, and there is a difference between two gender, male and female, the masculine and feminine, and due to this, there is a usage of different hemisphere, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. Different profession and occupation are designed due to this gender diversity. According to research, male has dominating logical and the rational part of a brain, and as well as for women, emotional, caring for other is dominating one. In 5.3, we try to understand the culture diversity. We live in that world where there is a multiplicity of culture found around us, and everyone has their own culture. Day to day, time to time, place to place, it varies from one person to another. So these culture differences in culture appreciation are highly acceptable, and we must have to be understand that culture variation, culture differences. When one culture rise up, another culture diffuse. So there is a culture diversity. In 5.4, we try to understand the international diversity. You can say that the impact of globalization, what kind of business and international standards are falling in all over the world. So they try to meet up the international diversity. 5.5, your culture heritage. Culture heritage is showing the ancestors and moral values and those values which is passed on from the ancestors. So culture heritage like language, literature, architect, all these are the signs of culture, and that make us different from the others. Multicultural appreciations are there when leader is facing with people. They come up with many multiple backgrounds, and there are a multiplicity of ideologies are there, and their culture is vary from each other. And here the leader must build that multicultural appreciation model. Here more attitude toward the differences. We must respect the differences and also understand the cultural influence on leadership behavior, how leader affected by the culture. Leadership in communication is very important, how the leader communicate to their followers, and the assertive communication, and finally the relational empathy. These are the content, and here we have learning objective. Illustrate the influence of privilege associated with the dominant culture. Explain the culture influence in communication, conflict resolution, and decision making. Differentiate the concept of culture from race and ethnicity, and apply the Hooke's intercultural learning process model, and distinguish the three positions in the assertive communication. Hooke's intercultural learning process has the following headings: ethnocentrism, which presupposes that the dominating culture and the others are superior, not the superior, in other words, are inferior one. And awareness about our culture as well as the culture of other, understanding of variances, references, and those things which become the rebel and contradiction. Cultural acceptance, cultural respect, tolerance for each other, appreciating, valuing, selective adoption. Multiculturalism is very important element. Many multiple cultures are there to adopt, and multiculturalism as lifelong learning. We live in that world, we become a global village, and now they digitally connect with each other. Due to all this, now our life, it become our lifelong learning. Multiculturalism is a lifelong learning. We have to be improve and mold ourselves according to that environment. Individual and community, there is a human family. The whole society is like a family, and we have a sense of we feeling, and we are not the other. We are the part of that community and society. That brings a great impact. The we feeling, the we challenge, and we are more like my friends, and we are unlike. Groups are made of a great diversity. Understanding gender diversity. Gender roles are often limiting and inaccurate when assigned to individual men and women due to gender discriminations and attributes. Man has different sight and the woman has different perspective on a single case. Our gender role perceptions are shaped by the many messenger we receive from the environment. The environment also affect, and gender diversity make decisions affected. Understanding the culture diversity. It is a body of common understanding that there is a diversity of culture and we have to be adopt every culture. Culture is basically what the sum and the total of ways of living, including our values, belief, ethical, aesthetic standard, linguistic expression, pattern of thinking, our appropriate behavior. All these are the part of a positive culture. When we try to follow in a way, then it will be very helpful to us. Understanding international diversity. How international and the globalization affect us. To be successful in dealing with the people from the other culture, manager need to know they must have a knowledge about culture differences and similarities among the countries, as well as he has a better insight and outlook of critical relativity relate to the others, and excellent relational skills, curiosity, and emotional intelligence distinguish successful globe leader. Globe. What is Globe about? Globe is global leadership, organizational behavior, effectiveness, and Globe is entitled for improving and dominating in the leadership. It is an extensive international study of thousands of middle managers believe people's perception of how things are done in their country. These are the these are the basically organizational behavior for leadership. Culture heritage. Culture heritage in the form of ethnicity, racism, like whites and non-whites, Asian, non-Asians, Americans, European, African, Latino, Hispanic, Native American. All these are the different colors and they all are treated and the same. So this approach is effective for the culture heritage and how we develop the multicultural appreciation because the ethnocentrism deviate from the ethnicity. And second one is an awareness, it's complete awareness. And third one is understanding. Understanding what? Understanding the structure. And acceptance and respect. Must try to give the respect and acceptance of their role, appreciating and valuing others, selective adoption that effect change, and multiculturalism, which is the effect of globalization. So here is some attitude, positive and a negative. Positive is supportive, appreciation, and nurture. In negative attitude, repulsion, pity, and intolerance. Culture influence on leadership behavior, personality preferences, difference in style and attitude, change in value system, beliefs and opinion. These are the important elements. Communication, conflict resolution, decision making. All these if high affect the leadership. And it also affect the behavior of different culture. Culture influence on leadership behavior has three key roles: communication, conflict resolution, and the decision making. How the communication affect the leadership behavior? Our behavior is molded by communication, by the mode of communication, uh, and communication is affected with the culture uh, because every culture has different verbal and non-verbal signs, and there is more in prescription of communication is quite tougher. So that's why it differ affect the leadership behavior. Conflict resolution. uh, there is a difference. There is a conflict over it, and that, that is affected highly from the culture, and decision making is highly affected from these culture differences, from the culture influences. So decision making, conflict resolution, and communication, all these highly affect. Okay, and now this is some additional reading to better understand about that part: homophobia, how we all pay the price, on prejudice, a global perspective, and a question of class. This one is very important element. And here is some relevant film regarding the topic: Understanding Others, Brokeback Mountain 2025, and The Crush 2004. Thank you for having a time. We have a great session and we will meet in the next. And in this session, we have completed understanding about the other, and this one is very important for us. And we have covered up all mentioned content in a very comprehensive way about individuality, understanding the gender diversity, culture diversity, international diversity, cultural heritage, multicultural appreciation, and then we talk about the positive and the negative attitude toward the differences. Someone accepts, someone resists, and then we talk about the culture influence, how the culture influences leadership, and we relate that communication, conflict resolution, decision making, all these are very effectful, and then relational and assertive communication. Okay, now we are going to end the session. Thank you.